Listen, folks, I'm going to tell you something absolutely critical that the mainstream media doesn't want you thinking about. What if tonight, right now, as you're sitting there in your comfortable home with the lights on, the heat running, scrolling through your phone, everything just stops? And I mean everything. Not for a minute, not for an hour. I'm talking gone. Completely gone. The hum of your refrigerator? Dead silence. The glow of the streetlights outside? Pitch black. Your Wi-Fi? Vanished into thin air. The AC in summer, the heat in winter, your ability to pump gas, flush toilets properly, buy groceries, call for help, all of it gone in one moment you never saw coming. Now here's the part that nobody, and I mean nobody, wants to admit. What if this isn't some temporary thing? What if the lights don't flicker back on in a few hours like they always do? What if we're talking days, weeks, months? And in that silence, in that growing unease that starts creeping up your spine, you realize you've just joined the millions of people throughout history who learned the absolute hardest way possible that our modern world, this incredible technological society we've built, only works when the grid does. You think I'm being paranoid? You think this is doomsday talk? Let me tell you something. Tell that to the people in Texas. Good, hard-working Americans who experienced absolute misery in their own homes during the 2021 winter storm. We're talking about one of the richest states in America, energy capital of the nation, and the grid failed. Just failed. Over 4 million homes lost power. People were freezing in their living rooms. And here's the terrible truth, at least 246 people lost their lives. Some estimates put it much higher. In America, in 2021, not some third world country, not decades ago, but right here, right now in the modern United States of America. Or let me remind you about the 50 million Americans, 50 million, stuck in the Northeast blackout of 2003. They found out real fast how a modern city can turn into a trapped, sweltering disaster when the power goes out. No elevators working, people stuck in subways, no air conditioning in August heat, food spoiling, chaos in the streets. And what about Puerto Rico? American citizens who spent nearly a year, 11 months to be specific, dealing with power issues after Hurricane Maria. Think about that. 11 months of struggling with basic necessities, food preservation challenges, water rationing, no reliable electricity. In America. Still think you're immune because you live in a nice modern city? Think you're protected because you're in a good neighborhood? Let me hit you with some facts that should wake you up right now. America's power grid, this thing we all depend on for literally everything in our lives, isn't some impenetrable fortress. It's not this amazing state-of-the-art system that can handle anything. It's aging. It's overworked. It's being held together by equipment that's way past its prime and the hope, just the hope that nothing too big hits it all at once. And the threats? They're real, folks. They're very real. In 2024, there were over 1,100 cyber attacks on utilities. That's a 70% increase compared to the year before. 70%. And get this, the average U.S. electricity customer experienced more downtime in 2024 than 2023. Outage hours jumped from 7.7 hours to 10.6 hours. That's a 38% increase in just 1 year. Some states had it even worse. South Carolina, almost 58 hours without power on average. Maine, over 51 hours. Florida, nearly 30 hours. And according to Department of Energy modeling, annual outage hours could increase to more than 800 hours per year. That's not days, that's hundreds of hours of blackouts becoming normal. We're one well-aimed cyber attack away from disaster. We're one major ice storm away from catastrophe. We're one cascading equipment failure away from plunging millions into the kind of darkness that doesn't care how prepared you think you are, how much money you make, or what neighborhood you live in. And here's the gut punch, the thing that really gets me. When that darkness comes, and trust me, it's when, not if, most people, your neighbors, your friends, maybe even you, are going to make the exact same critical mistakes that turn a blackout from a manageable inconvenience into a personal crisis. I'm talking about mistakes so common, so baked into our everything will be fine mentality that they've caused serious problems in every major outage on record. We're going to break down exactly what those mistakes are, why they'll wreck your situation faster than the outage itself, and how to make absolutely sure you're not the one standing in the dark wondering where it all went wrong. You ready? Good. Because the blackout clock doesn't start when the lights go out. It starts the moment you make your first move, and if you make the wrong one, you might not get another chance to fix it. Mistake number 10. Rating that fridge like it's your last meal on Earth. The second, and I mean the second, the lights go out, what's the first thing most people do? They wander into the kitchen and open the refrigerator like it's some kind of magical portal that's going to tell them how long this blackout is going to last. Maybe they're looking for one last snack before things spoil. Maybe it's boredom. Maybe it's panic eating. Whatever the reason, let me tell you something. It's one of the most self-sabotaging, counterproductive things you can possibly do in the first hour of a blackout. Why? I'll tell you exactly why. Because every single time you open that fridge door, you're dumping out the last cold air you've got. Cold air that is not getting replaced until the power comes back on, if it comes back on. The USDA, and these are the experts, folks, they say that a refrigerator will only keep food safe for about 4 hours without power. 4 hours. That's it. And a full freezer? About 48 hours if, and this is a big if, you keep those doors completely shut. Don't open them at all. But what do people do? They open it once to check. There goes an hour off your window. They open it again to grab a drink. There goes another hour. They open it 5 times because they're just looking or just checking to see if it's still cold. Congratulations. You've just turned 2 days of frozen food that could keep you fed during an extended outage, into a lukewarm science experiment that's going to make you sick. Now here's the really serious part. Foodborne illness is no joke, folks. No joke at all. According to the CDC, tens of millions of Americans get sick from foodborne illness every single year, even when refrigeration is working perfectly, even when everything is functioning normally. Now add a blackout into that equation. Add high heat in summer. Add no access to medical care because the hospitals are overwhelmed. Add the fact that you can't just go to the emergency room because everyone else is trying to go there too. And suddenly that chicken you decided to risk eating, that potato salad you thought was probably still okay, that meat that felt a little warm but looked fine. You're playing Russian roulette with your digestive system. And here's something else people don't think about. In a prolonged outage, grocery stores don't just magically restock the next day. After Hurricane Katrina, and I remember this vividly, some neighborhoods in New Orleans went over a month without access to fresh food. Over a month. So every single calorie you waste now, every piece of food you let spoil because you kept opening that fridge door, is a calorie you cannot get back later when stores are empty and supply chains are disrupted. What's the right move here? Treat that refrigerator like Fort Knox. I'm serious. Tape it shut if you have to. Make a list right now, today, before any blackout happens, of exactly what's inside your fridge and freezer. Or in those first critical minutes after the power goes out, quickly inventory what you have so you're not playing the what's in here game in the dark. Eat your perishable food strategically, and I mean strategically. Start with dairy products because they go bad fastest. Then move to meats. Then if it comes down to it, move to frozen goods, but only after they've started to thaw. Better yet, and this is what smart people do, have a cooler ready. Have ice packs in your freezer right now. So when the power goes out, you can quickly transfer the most essential items to that cooler without turning your entire refrigerator into a sauna. Listen, blackouts aren't about staying comfortable. They're not about convenience. They're about preservation. They're about survival. Every single degree you keep that fridge colder buys you time. And in a blackout situation, time is the only luxury you absolutely cannot buy, borrow, or restock at any store. Mistake number 9. Lighting. Up the wrong way and creating new dangers. Here's a statistic that should make you think twice. According to the National Fire Protection Association, and these numbers are verified, folks, candles cause over 7,000 house fires every single year in the United States. Over 7,000. And you know when those numbers absolutely spike? During power outages. Why does this happen? Because in those first moments of darkness, people panic. They grab whatever light source they can find in the dark. Old scented candles from 3 Christmases ago, half-burned birthday candles from last year's party, those decorative candles that have been sitting on a shelf collecting dust for a decade, and they light them up without thinking. Sounds cozy, right? Sounds like you're being smart, being prepared. Wrong! What you've actually done is placed an open flame, a naked flame, next to curtains, next to paper stacks, next to all kinds of flammable materials. I've even heard of people, and this is crazy, putting candles on top of the television set because they thought it was a stable surface. One bump from the dog running through the room. One kid not paying attention. One moment of carelessness when you're tired and stressed, and suddenly you're not dealing with a blackout anymore. Now you're dealing with a full-blown structure fire, and here's the kicker. There's no guarantee the fire department can respond quickly when the entire neighborhood is also dark and they're getting calls from everywhere. And it's not even just about the fire risk, although that's bad enough. Candles put out weak, uneven light compared to modern LED technology. That means you're way more likely to trip over something, spill something, break something, hurt yourself in the dark. Plus, think about this. In a prolonged blackout, you're talking about hours or potentially days of open flames around your pets, around your kids, around yourself when you're half asleep at 2 a.m. trying to find the bathroom. The 2003 Northeast blackout, remember that one? Multiple incidents, multiple fire emergencies related to candles. Yes, people survived the actual blackout, but they lost their homes. They lost everything they owned because they underestimated how dangerous just one candle could be in the wrong situation. The better alternative, and listen to me here because this is important, modern blackout lighting technology is ridiculously efficient. Ridiculously efficient. LED lanterns can run for over 100 hours on a single set of batteries. 100 hours. That's over 4 days of continuous light. Headlamps, and I love these things, they free up your hands completely and direct light exactly where you need it. You're not fumbling around trying to hold a flashlight and do something else at the same time. Solar lights, the kind you stick in your garden during the summer, bring those inside. Charge them during the day outside, bring them in at night. Free light with zero fire risk. Even a crank-powered flashlight means you never have to worry about running out of batteries. You just crank it for 30 seconds and you've got light. Keep these modern lighting solutions in multiple rooms throughout your house so you're never, ever tempted to fumble around with matches in the dark trying to light candles. Now, if you absolutely must use candles, if that's your only option, then at least do it safely. Set them on a completely non-flammable base. Metal, ceramic, something that cannot catch fire. Keep them far away from high-traffic areas where someone might bump into them. And never, and I mean never, leave them unattended. If you leave the room, you blow out the candle. No exceptions. In a blackout, your goal is to safely maintain lighting. Your goal is not to add your house fire to the emergency responders' already overwhelming list of calls that night. Mistake number 8, treating the blackout like it's some kind of accidental vacation. Here's the psychological trap that gets people every single time. The lights go out, the TV goes silent, the computer shuts down, and people think, well, I guess I'll just relax for a bit. They grab a beer or a soda, they flop down on the couch, and they tell themselves, this will probably be over in an hour or two, I'll just chill until it comes back on. You might even light a couple candles for ambiance. You scroll through your phone using up that battery. Maybe you even open the windows to enjoy the breeze because, hey, it's kind of nice without the noise of the air conditioning, right? And for that first hour, I'll admit it, it does feel like a weird little break from normal life. No emails, no work calls, no obligations, no screens demanding your attention. It's almost peaceful. But here's the massive problem that people don't understand. The blackout clock is ticking. Tick, tick, tick. And every single second you spend pretending this is some lazy Sunday afternoon is a second you're not using to prepare for what might actually be coming. Let me hit you with some facts. The average American household has about 3 days of food on hand. 3 days! And most of it is dependent on refrigeration working. The average city has just 3 to 5 days of food in its entire supply chain before stores start running bare. That's it. That's how close we are to empty shelves at all times. So if this outage stretches beyond a few hours, and remember what I told you about those increasing outage times, you're going to desperately wish you had spent that first vacation hour locking down your resources, securing your home, charging every device you own, filling containers with water, and getting real information about the local situation. The psychological danger here is what disaster experts call normalcy bias. It's the human tendency to believe that things will always work out the way they usually do. That bias, that dangerous assumption, is exactly why so many people in New Orleans stayed in their homes during Katrina until the flooding was literally at their doorstep. They thought it would be fine. They thought it always worked out before, so it would work out again. In a blackout, that normalcy bias means ignoring the very real possibility that this isn't just a storm-related hiccup. It could be infrastructure failure. It could be a cyber attack, and remember those numbers I gave you, over 100 cyber attacks on utilities in 2024 alone. It could be cascading grid collapse where one failure triggers another. And once panic actually sets in among the general population, and it will, the rush on gas stations, ATMs, and grocery stores will make those COVID-era toilet paper runs look like a polite, orderly shopping trip. So instead of slipping into vacation mode, instead of treating this like a chance to disconnect, you need to treat the first hour of darkness as your most valuable preparation window. This is your golden hour, folks. Fill every container in your house with water. Every pitcher, every pot, every bucket, bathtub, sinks, everything. Water might stop flowing if the pumps lose power. Charge every single device and battery bank you own. Check your pantry and move critical perishables to the coldest part of your freezer. Touch base with family members and neighbors so you know who might need help if this situation drags on for days. This isn't about being paranoid. This isn't about overreacting. This is about pivoting from passive mode to proactive mode before circumstances take that choice completely away from you. Because here's the truth in a prolonged blackout. The people who end up okay, the people who manage comfortably and safely, they're not the ones who sat around waiting to see what happens. They're the ones who worked immediately like the grid was never coming back. And then, if it did come back quickly, great. They got to relax knowing they were prepared, but if it didn't, they were ready. Mistake number 7, draining your generator, like you're powering a rock concert. When the grid goes down and you've got a generator, it can feel like you've just won the lottery. You feel like you're holding the ultimate trump card against the blackout, a mechanical middle finger to the power company, if you will. You fire that bad boy up. You plug in the fridge. Maybe you even hook up the TV. Maybe you get the Wi-Fi router running if your internet infrastructure is still working, and suddenly you're living way better than half your neighbors. You've got lights, you've got power, you're comfortable. But here's where people absolutely tank their own survival chances. They run that generator like they've got an infinite supply of fuel sitting in their garage. They keep it going all night long to power things they don't even need. The coffee maker running 24/7. The decorative aquarium lights. The second TV in the bedroom that nobody's watching. They treat that generator like it's a complete substitute for the grid instead of what it actually is, a bridge device. It's meant to help you preserve essentials until power returns or until you can resupply. Let me give you the hard numbers here. A typical 5,000-watt portable generator, which is what most homeowners have, burns about 3/4 of a gallon of gas per hour under moderate load. Under moderate load. Run it 24 hours straight at that rate, that's 18 gallons of gas in a single day. 18 gallons. That's more than most people keep on hand even if they thought they were prepared. And here's the really bad news that nobody thinks about until it's too late. During widespread outages, gas stations cannot pump fuel without power. Even if they've got backup generators themselves, even if the gas is sitting right there in the underground tanks, they physically cannot pump it to you. Supply lines dry up incredibly fast. After Hurricane Sandy hit the Northeast, New Yorkers, these are tough people who've seen everything. They were waiting up to 6 hours in lines that stretched for blocks, and that was only if the station still had fuel left. Many stations were completely out. So that precious gas you're burning right now for mood lighting, for running Netflix, for keeping every appliance in your house going, that's survival capital. That's liquid gold that you might desperately need in 48 hours when you realize this blackout isn't ending anytime soon. And we haven't even gotten to the safety mistakes yet, and these are serious. The CDC reports that generator-related carbon monoxide poisoning causes numerous fatalities every single year in the United States. Almost always, it's because people ran generators too close to living spaces or, and this blows my mind, inside garages with the door open thinking that was somehow safe. Let me be crystal clear about this. You cannot see carbon monoxide. You cannot smell it. It has no odor, no color, nothing. It builds up silently in enclosed spaces. It knocks you unconscious before you even realize something is wrong, and then it ends you. That's it. No warning, no second chances. Combine that with fuel storage mistakes, people keeping gas in open containers, storing it next to heat sources, keeping too much in one place, and you've just turned your supposed lifeline into an actual hazard that could take out your entire family. So what's the smart play here? Run your generator in scheduled bursts, just enough to keep the fridge cold, maybe 30 minutes every 4-6 hours. Charge your devices and battery banks during those run times. Run absolute essentials like a sump pump if you need it to prevent flooding. Store fuel safely in approved containers, the kind that are actually designed for gasoline storage, and keep them away from your living space. Rotate your fuel supply regularly because gas does go stale. It degrades over time and won't run your equipment properly. Invest in proper extension cords and power strips so you can maximize each runtime without overloading the generator unit itself. A generator is not a lifestyle replacement. It's not there to maintain your normal standard of living. It's a rationing tool. It's a strategic resource. Treat it like one, and you won't be the person explaining to a news crew 3 days into the blackout why you burned through your last gallon of gas keeping your beer extra cold while your freezer full of meat turned into soup. Mistake number 6, leaving your windows and doors like you're broadcasting free stuff inside. In the calm before potential chaos, people forget something really important. Blackouts don't just change what's happening inside your house. They completely change the behavioral dynamics of what's happening outside it too. Think about what disappears when the power goes out. No streetlights. None. Your neighborhood is pitch black. No security systems working, no cameras recording, no alarm monitoring because the internet is down and cell towers might be overwhelmed, no motion sensor lights. For the first time in years, maybe decades depending on where you live, entire neighborhoods can be cloaked in total, complete darkness. And yet, one of the most common mistakes I see people make is leaving their doors unlocked, leaving windows cracked open for airflow, leaving their blinds wide open like it's just another normal summer evening. In normal times, that's careless. In a blackout, it's practically sending an invitation to anyone walking by. Let me give you some historical data that backs this up. During the 1977 New York City blackout, and this is documented fact, looting and vandalism erupted within hours. Within hours. Over 1,600 stores were damaged in a single night. Thousands of people were arrested. This wasn't some third world country falling apart. This was New York City, one of the greatest cities in the world. Now, is every blackout going to look like NYC in '77? No, of course not. But the principle, the fundamental principle, remains exactly the same. Darkness creates cover. Desperation makes people bold, and when the normal deterrents are gone, some people will take advantage. Even in smaller, more localized outages, property crimes tend to spike because visibility and deterrence simply vanish. And in our modern world, a lot of people, maybe even you, rely entirely on doorbell cameras and motion lights as your only security measures. In a prolonged outage, those go down with everything else. They're useless. And suddenly you're back to what? 19th century home defense. Locks, maybe a dog if you have one, and neighbors who actually keep an eye out for each other. The mistake here isn't just about failing to secure your physical perimeter. It's about assuming your neighborhood will behave exactly the same in the dark as it does in broad daylight. That's normalcy bias rearing its head again. And it's genuinely dangerous. You cannot predict with any certainty how strangers will act when resources start getting scarce and there's no immediate police presence. You can't even predict how people you vaguely know might act under those circumstances. So what should you do? The moment, and I mean the moment, the lights go out, lock every single door and window in your home. Every single one. Even the ones on the second floor that you think are inaccessible. Even the basement windows. Even the garage door. Close your curtains or blinds to prevent outsiders from seeing inside your home, especially any light sources you're using. If people can see you've got lights and power, they know you have supplies. They know you have resources. If you have battery-powered motion lights, position them strategically at entry points. Not obvious from the street, but where they'll surprise anyone trying to approach your doors or windows. Keep a flashlight or headlamp within arm's reach in every major room so you're not stumbling around in the dark if you need to move quickly or investigate a noise. And here's the most important part that people don't do. Build relationships with your neighbors before disaster strikes. In every single major blackout case study I've ever read, and I've read dozens of them, the safest blocks were the ones where residents already had an informal watch system, where people knew each other, where they looked out for each other. In the dark, in a crisis, community isn't just a nice thing to have. Community is security. Community is survival. Mistake number 5, burning through batteries like they're Halloween candy. The second, the absolute second, the lights cut out, most people instinctively grab every single battery-powered device in their house. Flashlights, radios, maybe that old portable DVD player they forgot they owned, that weird camping lantern from 5 years ago, and they start running all of them full blast simultaneously. The living room glows like a Best Buy display wall. They wander from room to room, leaving lights on everywhere just in case. They've got 3 flashlights going in the kitchen, 2 lanterns in the bedroom, another flashlight in every bathroom. Here's the massive problem with this approach. In a prolonged blackout, batteries are a finite, non-renewable lifeline, and most folks burn through their entire supply in the first 24 hours without giving it a second thought. Once they're gone, they're gone. You understand that, right? There's no battery fairy. And unless you're ready to stand in a 2-hour line at the one hardware store that might still be open, praying desperately that they still have AA or D batteries in stock, you're out of luck. Let me give you the ugly math here. An average LED flashlight burns through a set of AA batteries in about 6 to 8 hours of continuous use. LED lanterns can last longer, but crank them up to maximum brightness like most people do, and you're cutting their operating life in half or more. FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, recommends that people keep enough batteries for at least 72 hours of sustained use, at minimum. Yet surveys show that fewer than 15% of U.S. households actually meet that threshold. Fewer than 15%. That means 85% of American households are completely unprepared. And when disaster hits, when that blackout comes, batteries are among the absolute first items to disappear from store shelves. During the 2003 Northeast blackout, entire cities sold out of AA, AAA-D, and 9-volt batteries within hours. Within hours! Good luck finding them after that. The fix isn't complicated, but it requires discipline and smart thinking. First, control your usage. Use task lighting, not flood lighting. Keep one lantern in a central room where your family is gathering. Move around the house with a headlamp or small flashlight rather than lighting up every single room like it's Christmas. Second, diversify your power sources. Solar lanterns that charge during the day, crank-powered flashlights that never need batteries at all, rechargeable battery packs that you can charge from a power bank or generator. These can extend your lighting capabilities without eating through disposable batteries. Third, store your batteries correctly. Keep them in a cool, dry place. Heat degrades batteries fast. And rotate your stock regularly so you're not relying on a corroded, half-dead battery pack from 2016 when the emergency actually hits. And here's a pro tip that I use myself. Tape a spare set of batteries directly to each flashlight and device. Right now, before any emergency, take a spare set. Tape them to the flashlight itself. That way, you're never ever scrambling around in the dark trying to find replacement batteries when you need them most desperately. In a blackout, light isn't just about comfort. Light is safety. Light is security. Light is the difference between being able to function and being helpless. Burn through your battery reserves too fast in those first exciting hours, and you'll find yourself in the absolute worst kind of darkness. The kind you literally cannot do anything about because you have no remaining resources. Mistake number 4. Forgetting that food preservation is a one-way clock that never stops. One of the biggest, most dangerous blind spots people have in a blackout situation is completely misunderstanding just how fast perishable food becomes genuinely unsafe to eat. They figure, well, the fridge is still cold to the touch, so the food inside must still be fine. Right? Wrong. And they keep opening that door to grab drinks, snacks, that leftover takeout from 2 nights ago. Just checking, just looking, just grabbing one more thing. But here's the hard, unforgiving truth. The moment power dies, you are on a countdown clock that does not stop, does not pause, does not care about your assumptions until either the grid comes back or your food spoils completely. According to the USDA, and these are the official guidelines, folks, perishable food kept above 40 degrees Fahrenheit for more than 2 hours enters what they call the danger zone. 2 hours. That's all it takes for bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli to start multiplying to potentially harmful levels. And here's the scary part. You cannot smell it. You cannot see it. The food looks fine, smells normal, seems okay, but it can absolutely make you sick. It can ruin your entire week or worse. In major blackouts, this becomes a massive public health nightmare. After Hurricane Katrina devastated the Gulf Coast, thousands upon thousands of cases of foodborne illness were reported in shelters and homes. Why? Because people kept eating meat, dairy, and seafood that had warmed up without realizing the serious danger. In Puerto Rico, after Hurricane Maria knocked out power for nearly a year in some areas, the problem got so severe that health officials were running radio PSAs constantly, practically begging people to throw away suspicious food even if it looked perfectly fine. And here's what really gets people in trouble. In an extended outage, you cannot just replace spoiled food easily. Grocery stores may not reopen for days or even weeks, and when they finally do open their doors, refrigerated sections are often completely gutted. Empty. Nothing left. The smart, strategic approach? The absolute second the power goes out, consolidate all your perishable items into the coldest part of the fridge and freezer, which is usually the back and bottom. Don't just leave things scattered everywhere. Consolidate them. And then avoid opening those doors unless absolutely necessary. Use a refrigerator thermometer, one of those simple devices that cost $5, so you know exactly precisely when you've crossed that safety threshold of 40 degrees. Eat your perishables strategically and in the right order. This is critical. Start with the most temperature-sensitive foods, dairy products, soft cheeses, milk, yogurt, then move to meats and seafood. Then, only if it comes to that point, move to frozen goods, but only after they've started to thaw. And have a cooler ready with ice packs or frozen water bottles so you can transfer the most essential items without completely killing your fridge's remaining cold. That cooler becomes your backup refrigerator. In a prolonged outage, food preservation isn't about preference or comfort. It's a literal race against time and bacterial growth. And the people who win that race, who keep their families safe and healthy, are the ones who treat it with the seriousness it deserves from minute one. Mistake number 3. Cooking indoors with outdoor equipment, like it's somehow safe. It happens every single time there's a major blackout. Somebody decides they're going to get creative with meal preparation. They think they're being smart, being resourceful, and they haul a charcoal grill, a propane camp stove, or camping equipment into their garage, into their basement, or incredibly, even into their kitchen to cook food and stay warm. It feels logical in the moment, right? You want to conserve heat in winter. You want to keep the warmth inside. You want to cook efficiently without opening doors. And hey, people cook indoors all the time with stoves and ovens, so this should be fine too, right? Wrong. Completely. Dangerously. Potentially fatally wrong. What you're actually doing when you bring that outdoor cooking equipment inside is creating a carbon monoxide death trap in your own home. Charcoal, propane, and wood-burning stoves produce massive amounts of carbon monoxide. This is an odorless. You cannot smell it at all. Colorless. You cannot see it. Gas that will end your life before you even realize there's a problem. The CDC estimates, and these are conservative numbers, that portable generators, grills, and similar fuel-burning equipment are responsible for over 400 accidental carbon monoxide deaths annually in the United States. Over 400 deaths. And that's not counting the thousands more hospitalizations, the people who barely survive with potential brain damage from oxygen deprivation. In the days and weeks after major power outages, emergency rooms see massive spikes in CO poisoning cases. Massive. And almost all of them, almost all, are from people who thought they were being smart by using outdoor equipment indoors. And the danger doesn't just affect you. Carbon monoxide can seep through walls, through vents, through shared spaces. It can put your neighbors at risk. If you live in an apartment or townhouse, you could be poisoning families who have no idea where it's coming from. During the 2021 Texas freeze, multiple entire families experienced carbon monoxide poisoning, some with tragic outcomes. After running charcoal grills in enclosed spaces trying to stay warm during that brutal cold snap. Fire risk is another major factor that people completely ignore. Open flames plus confined spaces plus all the flammable materials in a typical home, that's a recipe for disaster, especially when emergency response times are already massively delayed because every fire department and ambulance service is overwhelmed with calls. So let me be absolutely clear about this. If you are cooking with any fuel-burning equipment, it stays outside. Outside! At least 20 feet away from all doors, windows, and vents. Not in the garage with the door open, not on a covered porch. Outside in open air. Have a battery-powered carbon monoxide detector in your home right now before any emergency. Test it regularly. Make sure it works. This is not optional if you plan to run any fuel-based heating or cooking systems during an outage. Better yet, invest right now in backup cooking gear that's actually safe for indoor use. Canned heat, those little sterno cans. Alcohol stoves designed for indoor emergency use. Electric hot plates that you can run off a generator or large battery bank in short, controlled bursts. Blackouts are stressful enough, they're challenging enough, without adding accidental poisoning to the list of things you need to worry about. Cook smart, stay safe, and save the outdoor cooking equipment for when you're actually outdoors where it belongs. Mistake number 2. Ignoring temperature control until it's already too late. One of the sneakiest, most underestimated threats in a blackout situation isn't the darkness itself, it's the temperature. And most people completely ignore this until they're already in serious trouble. People think, oh, the house will stay comfortable for a while. The insulation will keep things stable. And they don't do anything at all about heating or cooling until they're already shivering uncontrollably or sweating buckets and feeling dizzy from the heat. By that point, you've already lost the easiest, most effective window to stabilize your indoor environment. You've wasted your opportunity. Without active climate control, without your furnace or air conditioner running, your home's temperature starts drifting inexorably toward whatever temperature it is outside. In summer heat waves, and we're seeing more of these, that can mean climbing to triple digits indoors. 100, 105, 110 degrees inside your house. In winter storms, it can drop below freezing inside in less than a day, especially in northern states. And those temperature shifts aren't just uncomfortable. They're not just inconvenient. They can be absolutely deadly, particularly for the very young, the elderly, and anyone with pre-existing health conditions. During the 2021 Texas freeze that I mentioned earlier, official reports confirm over 246 deaths, though many experts believe the real number is significantly higher. Many of those people died from hypothermia-related causes inside their own homes. Inside. Not outside in a snowbank, but in their living rooms, their bedrooms, places where they should have been safe. In the 1995 Chicago heat wave, over 700 people died in less than 1 week. Over 700! Many of them were elderly people living alone who didn't take the heat seriously until it was too late. Their bodies simply couldn't handle the sustained high temperatures. The big critical mistake that almost everyone makes is doing nothing during those first few hours. Those golden hours when you still have options, when you can still take effective action. People open windows in winter because they want fresh air, letting precious heated air escape. They fail to close blinds and curtains in summer, letting solar radiation pour directly into their home, heating it up like an oven. They wait to gather blankets, wait to set up fans, wait to take any protective measures until the house is already completely miserable. And once your home reaches that point of extreme temperature, you're fighting an absolutely losing battle without huge amounts of fuel for heating or massive battery power for cooling. Here's the strategy you need to implement immediately. The moment, the second, the power drops, start thinking about insulation. Think about controlling your environment. Close all curtains and blinds throughout the entire house. Heavy blankets over windows can slow heat loss dramatically in winter. Aluminum foil or reflective material on windows can block heat gain in summer by reflecting solar radiation back outside. In cold weather, confine your living space. Don't try to heat your entire house. That's impossible without power. Pick 1 or 2 rooms, preferably interior rooms away from exterior walls, and seal them off. Use blankets, towels, even plastic sheeting over doorways to create a smaller, more manageable space. Use body heat, huddle together as a family, use safe candles if necessary, and layer clothing. Multiple thin layers trap heat better than one thick layer. In extreme heat, focus entirely on airflow and blocking solar radiation. Use battery-powered fans strategically. Keep all shades drawn during daylight hours. And if it's cooler outside at night, this is key. Open windows only at night to let that cooler air in. Then close them early in the morning, ideally before sunrise, to trap that cooler air inside before the day heats up again. Wet towels on your neck, wrists, and forehead can provide evaporative cooling. A spray bottle with water can help. Stay hydrated constantly. Remember something crucial here. Controlling temperature in a blackout isn't about maintaining your normal comfort level. It's not about staying perfectly comfortable. It's about survival. It's about keeping your body temperature within a range that won't cause serious medical problems. Your body can only tolerate extreme cold or extreme heat for so long before the effects become permanent and irreversible. Hypothermia, frostbite, heat stroke. These conditions can cause lasting damage or death. The smart, prepared people act immediately before the walls and windows themselves start working against them, before their home becomes an icebox or an oven. Mistake number 1, treating the first hour like free time, instead of your only real head start. If there's one fatal flaw, one critical error that unites unprepared people across the board in every blackout situation, it's this: wasting the first hour. That precious, irreplaceable first hour. That first hour is the golden window. It's the only time you have guaranteed daylight or at least twilight, relatively calm conditions before panic spreads, and full access to resources before everyone else figures out this is serious. And yet, most people, the vast majority of people, burn that hour doing absolutely nothing productive. Nothing. They light candles for ambiance like they're setting up for a romantic dinner. They scroll through their phones, draining battery life on social media. They stand at the window looking outside like the view is going to give them answers. They call friends to chat about the blackout. They think, well, I'll start getting ready if this lasts more than a couple hours. I'll wait and see. News flash. By the time you decide to get ready, by the time you finally decide this is serious and you need to take action, everyone else around you has already figured it out too. They've already cleaned out the grocery store shelves, they've already drained the gas pumps, they've already snatched up the last bags of ice, the last cases of water, the last batteries, the last everything. History shows this pattern happens fast. Incredibly fast. In the 2003 Northeast blackout, within just 3 hours of the grid going down, major cities were seeing complete traffic gridlock, widespread store shortages, and ATM failures. 3 hours. In Puerto Rico, after Hurricane Maria, water distribution lines were measured in miles, literally miles long, within the first day. People waiting 8, 10, 12 hours just to get drinking water. And here's something else most people don't think about. You cannot rely on credit cards or debit cards when the power's out. The payment systems don't work. The card readers are down. The bank computers are offline. Cash becomes king. Cash is the only thing that matters. And most Americans, studies show this clearly, don't have enough cash on hand to matter. They're completely dependent on electronic payment systems. The solution is simple, but it requires immediate, urgent action. The absolute second, the lights go out, you need to act like you won't have them back for 72 hours minimum. Maybe longer. Prepare for the worst, hope for the best. Fill every single container in your house with water. Every pitcher, every pot, every pan, every bucket, bathtubs, sinks, everything. Why? Because water might stop flowing if the municipal pumps lose power. Many water systems depend on electric pumps. No power means no water pressure means no water coming out of your taps. Fill everything now while you still can. Charge every device and battery bank you own. Phones, tablets, laptops, battery packs, everything. Get them all charging immediately if you have any power left in battery banks or if power comes back briefly. Cook or eat perishables that won't survive without refrigeration. If you've got food that needs to be cooked and eaten soon anyway, now is the time. Use your gas stove if you have one, and it doesn't require electric ignition. Check on vulnerable neighbors or family members before roads get clogged and lines get overwhelming. Elderly neighbors, people with medical conditions, families with small children. Make sure they're okay. Make sure they know what's happening. If you need extra supplies, and you probably do because most people aren't fully prepared, get them immediately. Right now. Not in 2 hours when you've assessed the situation. Not tomorrow morning when you've had time to think about it. Now. Before the whole neighborhood, before the whole city, has the exact same idea. That first hour is the difference between being in control of your situation and being in crisis mode. Use it well, use it wisely, and you're ahead of 90% of the people around you. Waste it, treat it casually, and you're just another person standing in a store that ran out of bread and water half an hour ago, wondering what went wrong. In a blackout situation, you do not get bonus points for being patient. You don't get rewarded for being calm and waiting to see what happens. You win, you succeed, you keep your family safe by moving fast and moving smart while you still have the chance. The bigger picture. Why this matters more than ever. Now let me tell you why all of this matters more today than ever before in our history. Our power grid, the entire infrastructure that our modern life depends on, is more vulnerable right now than it's been in decades. We're not talking about some hypothetical future threat. We're talking about documented increasing vulnerabilities happening right now. In 2024, the energy sector experienced over 100 cyber attacks. Think about that number. Over 1,100 deliberate attacks on our power infrastructure. That's a 70% increase compared to the previous year. Our adversaries, and we have adversaries whether you want to acknowledge it or not, China, Russia, Iran, North Korea, they're probing our systems constantly. They're looking for weaknesses. They're planting malware. They're preparing for the possibility of taking down our grid as an act of warfare or coercion. The Department of Energy has modeled scenarios, and this is terrifying, folks, where annual outage hours could increase to more than 800 hours per year. That's not a few days here and there. That's weeks and weeks without reliable power becoming the new normal. Some states are already experiencing this. South Carolina residents experienced an average of almost 58 hours without power in 2024. Maine, over 51 hours. These aren't third world countries. These are American states in the 21st century. And it's not just cyber threats. Our physical infrastructure is aging rapidly. Transformers that should have been replaced 20 years ago are still in service. Power lines that were installed in the 1950s and 60s are still carrying our electricity. The system is held together with duct tape, hope, and prayers. Extreme weather events, and they're getting more frequent and more severe, are hitting us harder. The Texas freeze of 2021, Hurricane Ian, Hurricane Maria, each one exposes just how fragile our systems really are. So when I tell you that you need to be prepared, when I tell you that these mistakes can cost you dearly, I'm not being dramatic. I'm not fear-mongering. I'm telling you the reality based on data, based on trends, based on what's actually happening. The question isn't if we'll face more major blackouts. The question is when. And when that happens, will you be one of the people who made these 10 deadly mistakes? Or will you be one of the people who prepared, who took action, who kept their family safe? Your action plan, starting right now. So what do you do with all this information? What's your next step? First, don't wait for an emergency. Prepare now, today. Make a list of everything we've discussed. LED lanterns, headlamps, battery-powered fans, battery stockpiles, water containers, non-perishable food, manual can opener, battery-powered or hand-crank radio for emergency information. Second, create a family emergency plan. Make sure everyone in your household knows what to do the moment the power goes out. Where are the flashlights? Where are the supplies? What's the plan for staying warm or cool? Who checks on the neighbors? Third, build those community connections I mentioned. Get to know your neighbors now, not during an emergency. Exchange phone numbers. Talk about supporting each other if something happens. Fourth, keep cash on hand. Not just 20 or 40 bucks. Keep several $100s in small bills in a safe place. When the power goes out, ATMs don't work, and cash is king. Fifth, learn basic skills. How to purify water. How to cook without electricity. Basic first aid. These skills could save your life or someone else's. And finally, stay informed. Pay attention to your local infrastructure. Know the vulnerabilities in your area. Sign up for emergency alerts from your local authorities. The people who survive blackouts comfortably, who keep their families safe and healthy, aren't lucky. They're prepared. They're smart. They take action before the crisis hits. Don't be the person standing in the dark after making these 10 mistakes, wondering where it all went wrong. Be the person who watched this video, took it seriously, took action, and when the lights go out, you're ready. Because in America, we shouldn't have to live with a failing power grid. We shouldn't have to accept increasing blackouts as normal. But until our leaders fix this infrastructure crisis, until they take these threats seriously and invest in modernizing our grid, the responsibility for keeping your family safe falls on you. So what are you going to do about it? Are you going to scroll past this video and forget about it, or are you going to take action today? The choice is yours. But remember, the blackout clock doesn't start when the lights go out. It starts the moment you make your first move. Make sure it's the right one. Stay safe out there, folks. Be prepared, be smart, and remember, in a crisis, hope is not a strategy. Preparation is.